I believe this is from either Tuesday or Wednesday. This is just a small example of the solid work that Julian is doing on the Hill.
It's on the Pentagon reclassifying Israel as a critical level threat, a counterintelligence threat.
I didn't see that story.
In the New York Times this week?
No, I don't read the New York Times cover to cover every weekend. You know, sometimes
that's a big story, though.
Sometimes I'm with my children.
Can you look at how little he is? Can you all look at this very little man?
I
can see the top of his head. I've seen the top of his head.
Well, Julian, I could tell you're over 6 feet tall, but yes, it is one of those things where, you know, you meet some of these guys and you're like, okay, I see where the Napoleon complex is coming from. But it's interesting when you start doing this on a daily basis and you realize the ones that are clearly on the take and how irritated they get from the slightest amount of pushback.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that I've noticed is, since being on Capitol Hill is there's a level of entitlement, especially among members of the Democratic establishment towards the media. I think that they are often shocked when members of the media challenge them on anything. If I go and confront somebody on a stock trade, if I ask them about Israel, which is a topic that's tends to be evaded on Capitol Hill and among journalists and politicians alike, they're sort of shocked. They approach it with this idea like, oh, I thought we had a deal. I thought that we weren't going to talk about these things. And I think the approach that I've taken, that Ryan and I have decided to take here, is that we're kind of going to go gloves off. We've faced a bunch of institutional hurdles since trying to do that. But I think that we're just going to go up there and really try to, like, boots on the ground, shoe leather, bird dog it and really like bring the things that people care about to these people. I mean, you've seen sort of the Epstein reporting that we're doing at Dropsite. These are things that people talk about, but if you bring them up as issues on the Hill, they consider them salacious. I remember Senator Cassidy, the first time I brought up Epstein to Senator Cassidy, he told me it was tawdry. And I think that there are certain things that there are certain things on the Hill that are considered non-issues that I think people on the ground really care about. And I think the work of a journalist is to respond to what working people in this country care about. We're trying to disseminate information for people who don't have the money to buy a senator or to buy a representative, or who don't have the money to chip in to break through the paywall. I mean, none of our stuff at Dropsite is paywalled. We're trying to deliver real journalism for working class people, not driven by any corporate interests or conglomerates or advertisers. Real information that's honest and truthful.
Couldn't agree more. Here we go.
I mean, if our ally is being classified as a counterintelligence threat, I mean, what would you advise?
I think every country spies on each other.
But critical level, that's like with our top adversaries. That's higher than some of our other adversaries. Dropsite's Capitol Hill correspondent Julian Andreone here. I was up on the Hill today asking members about the Defense Intelligence Agency reclassifying Israel as a critical level counterintelligence threat against the United States. What does that mean? Now, Israel, supposedly our special ally, is on the same playing field in terms of the threat that they pose in espionage to the United States as our top adversaries. They are even above some of our other adversaries. So I wanted to ask members of Congress, are they being a good ally by supposedly bugging our Secret Service vehicles and tapping the phones of our top White House officials? Let's see what they had to say.
I mean, they drug us into the Iran war, and they're keeping the president in the Iran war, and that's not much of an ally, frankly. And it shouldn't be a surprise that Israel is spying on American officials.
Well, I mean, I think there's always kind of been some of these intelligence questions around the Israeli operation in terms of what's getting picked up in the United States and what's getting picked up otherwise. So I can't say that I find it,
Would you consider someone who's bugging our Secret Service vehicles and spying on our White House officials' phones to be an ally?
I mean, it's absolutely aggressive behavior for sure.
That's not an answer, Alex. Fucking word salad. She's like Kamala. Like, what did she just say?
The thing that you'll pick up on, which I'm sure you have already, is know the people that are thinking about the next rung on the ladder that they're attempting to climb. And so when you ask her point blank, is Israel an ally or not, because of her intentions, she won't even give an answer. It's like, well, it's like, no, that's even worse. Why don't you just say
that's her voting present? Is that your present vote, Alex? Thank you.
And credit to you for not pulling any punches with your questions, just being very direct, like, hey, are they our ally or not? And,
she can't answer.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting seeing it in real time where, you're talking about somebody who went from somebody who was being somewhat of a rebel rouser to now just every single thing that she says is calculated. And it is unfortunate to see, but this is your job. This is what being a journalist is about, is making them uncomfortable. You're not supposed to be friends with these guys. They have a job to do, and you're supposed to make sure that they do it.
Well, I think that would be unwelcome advice for many journalists in this city. I think a lot of them really enjoy the insider syndrome. I grew up quite wealthy in Los Angeles, kind of surrounded by a bunch of powerful and affluent people, and it always sort of disgusted me. And so when I came here, I wasn't really caught off guard by the allure of it. I wasn't really swept up. I kind of realized how these people tend to think about themselves. And to be clear, I'm not necessarily saying that about Alex, and nor making a broader commentary here. But I just think that I think that there are a lot of people on Capitol Hill who tend to craft their statements to sound good to the consultant class rather than to working people on the ground. And I think that the people who are breaking through these days, Thomas Massie being one of them, are speaking in really plain terms. I think they're people who, when you have the camera on or the camera off, they say the exact same things. And I think those are lessons that a lot of politicians who are coming onto the scene are learning. You're seeing progressive candidates speaking really bluntly across the country, but progressive incumbents perhaps not doing that.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah, the White House denied that report.
And you believe that denial?
Absolutely. Why would we do that?
Well,
they're our best ally in the world.
Well, that's sort of why that's relevant, right? The reporting. They've
the White House says it's
supposedly bugged a Secret Service vehicle and spied on top White House officials' phones. I mean, is that something that if an ally were to do it, it would break off ties?
And the people who they supposedly did said it didn't happen.
I got to be honest, man. You could tell he's out of breath. Are you trying to make him keel over? Because then he'll blame you if that happens. So I'm just saying.
Just walk a little faster, Julian. Just walk a little faster, and he'll try to get away. He won't be able to do it.
Goodness gracious.
He doesn't love me. He recently called. I think there's a broader lesson here, because it is like all fun and games for a while, but then he's somebody who almost everything he says is projection. So he called me a foreign agent. Obviously, I'm a 22-year-old kid who just graduated college. As we discussed, I'm making a modest salary. I am not a foreign agent. If I were, I'd love to see where that money is. But he's somebody who takes a boatload of money from the Israel lobby. And there are a lot of people who are in that boat who take a bunch of money from the Israel lobby who accuse others of being foreign agents, when in reality, I think they recognize that fact about themselves. They never vote against the interests of the Israeli government, and they also take the money. So it begs the question, is that a bribe, right? I mean, we're talking about campaign contributions, donations, and if you were taking those donations but voting independently and sometimes going for and sometimes going against those interests, that would be one thing. But if you're taking those donations and consistently 100% of the time voting in favor of those interests, I think it begs the question, are you getting paid for those votes?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't see it. So
you didn't see that at all?
God.
So I don't know how well you know Jen, but I will have you know that this is the lady that, and I use the term lady very loosely with her, but Wasserman Schultz is who Jen ran against for the United States Congress. Mm-hmm. Can you briefly explain, in the probably hundreds of federally elected representatives that you've had the pleasure, or maybe not so much pleasure, in speaking with, how high on the list would you rank Wasserman Schultz of the most unlikable people that you've had to speak with?
Well, I'm not going to go down that road, but I will say that, she and I are not friends. She's not somebody who really chops it up with you or makes an effort to get to know who you are as a person behind the questions you're asking. I think somebody who's quite an institutionalist, an insider, and Yeah, I mean, I've asked her. She voted in favor of the clean FISA reauthorization a couple months ago, which would keep open the backdoor search loophole and the data broker loophole that would essentially allow President Trump and Stephen Miller to spy on American citizens. It was used. The backdoor search loophole was used to spy on Black Lives Matter protesters during 2020, and she voted in favor of that clean reauthorization with no warrant requirements. And I asked her afterwards whether the money she had taken from Oracle, a surveillance company, had anything to do with her views on surveillance, and she told me it was a ridiculous question. I mean, I saw
that.
Yeah,
I saw that. I didn't realize it was you. I saw that, and she goes, "What a ridiculous question."
Yeah. So somebody who has been involved in the DC circles for so long that it would shock me if she has any idea about the concerns of working people on the ground. And also,
she doesn't care.
We know about her history at the DNC, obviously, during the 2016 election, and some of the revelations that came out in the emails about the way that she was sort of skewing that primary towards Hillary Clinton and against Bernie Sanders. Those obviously signs of corruption there.
Agreed.
If they're spying on us, then they need to cut it out. We do too much. You go over there, go to Israel, and you have to. You can't take your cell phone because it gets bugged, and that's not the way allies are supposed to treat us.
Many people don't know who Congressman Burchett is, but he represents Knoxville, Tennessee. If you're looking for a good GOP congressman that you haven't heard of, Tim Burchett is that guy.
Thanks.
But I think that it shows you just exactly where we are, and the people are going to continue to remind us that the biggest threat right now is the wars that Bibi Netanyahu continue to send us on. I'm not surprised. It's why they have the control over so many of our colleagues here in so many ways.
We'll be briefed on it, and you know me, I'm not going to make comments prior to understanding the full scope of exactly of what's going on there.
No, Wesley, you won't make a comment until your donors tell you what that comment should be. That's what you're waiting for. Word. Oh, good God, what a corporate war.
What I really like about how you do your job is that you basically show the entire spectrum: conservative, liberal, on the take, not on the take. People like Congresswoman Ramirez, who is an honest operator, but also understands that there is certain language that she can't use because she has to break bread with other people within the party. And as I've often said, the thing about being in politics that, perhaps you've even experienced even in your early 20s is that you don't have to be corrupt. It's not a prerequisite, but you will have to work with people that are. You do not have a choice. Like, that is the nature of the job. But I do think that some people just feel they kind of get sucked into that world. Like you alluded to, when you grow up, affluent in Southern California, and you're taught really strong values about being an honest operator in society, you can go to DC and be like, I don't need this. I'm here to do a job. If I make some friends and, we end up hanging out at, some cool spots, on K Street or something like that, great. And if I don't, it's not the end of the world.
You have no idea. I mean, the number of times the bureaucracy and the insider circles try so many different ways to try to get you and to try to envelop you. There's annoyance, there's outright hostility, but there's also amicability, and there's these attempts to court you, and they tell you, oh, wouldn't you like to be a part of this group of other establishment journalists or political people? Wouldn't you like to be included? People don't really like when you do these sorts of things. What type of journalist do you want to be? Do you want to be an ambush journalist or an enterprise journalist? Real questions I've been asked. And I mean, my view is like, I am somebody who is entirely driven by purpose. I would sacrifice everything that I have personally to achieve what I view to be my purpose. I'm somebody who was born at the top of the ladder, and I always have thought that even though I had an easy route to like run towards the pot of gold, I always thought more about the people who are at the bottom of the ladder trying to figure out a way to climb up. And And I think that was what drew me to Dropsite. Like, I had an opportunity to take jobs that would have been more lucrative for me. I went to, as you know, one of the best journalism schools.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. And I had opportunities to go and join corporate media organizations, or even political campaigns or offices that would have paid me more than I'm making here. But I specifically proposed the salary I'm making here at Dropsite so that we would have the resources to do other things. And I think that I really have been I've been thrilled by the time that I've spent here because of the mission. And we're reporting on Epstein, we're reporting on Israel, we're giving honest news to people about what's going on in the world when almost no other places are. And it feels really fulfilling. And I know that people are benefiting from it because they come up to me and tell me on the street. And so I'm just I'm like over the moon and grateful for the opportunity, and I will like continue to work here regardless of what the salary or anything is. I don't care about any of that stuff or any of the cocktail parties.
No, and that's a privilege, right? Like, that's the privilege, is that you can do that, and that's really cool. And I've said that all along. It's about lending your privilege. That's the whole point. Your parents must be really proud of you.
I think they are. Yeah, I think
they raised you nice. They raised you good, because you could have been a spoiled brat, basically.
I think that's probably a testament to the way they raised me, though, right? Like, I don't think that's necessarily, I mean, that's not like I just like happened to pop out and luckily I'm not a brat. I mean, every weekend my mom would have us like pack lunches and pass them out to the homeless, like really like getting us involved in the community and like knowing that there are people who have like circumstances that weren't the same way that ours were. So, I mean, I would not be the person I am today without my family, but also like the people who I look up to who I didn't know until I got up here.